Hi everyone, it's Rachel and Anthony.
Hello.
From Don't Crop Me Now. And today we're going to do an update about the community plot. Now this project started back in February, and the idea of this plot is, when we say community, it's for the local community of our allotments, Granville Park. And we're going to use this for lots of things, but it's taken us probably the best part of about 10 weeks to put this plot together. It was pretty much derelict and it was very overgrown prior to that, so we're really pleased of the progress that we have made. And in the last video, I think we got to the stage where we put raised beds in, but there's been lots of other stuff that has gone on since then. We're on about 120 hours, man hours, to put together this project. So hopefully that can give you an idea of what you can do in a relatively short space of time if you're able to put that real physical labour in. So let's start at the top end of this plot, and this is a half plot, a standard size half plot in the UK, which is about 250 square metres. It's about half the size of a doubles tennis court. And this top end of the plot hopefully is looking quite different from the last video. We did get a free load of really good quality wood chip-ins, which has made a real difference in sort of neatening off this area. We've also painted all of the timber structures, so they are looking really good as well. And the majority of these things have been made from recycled timber. The only thing that we have bought is some raised pallet collars, which Auntie can just show you to my right over here. We didn't actually buy all of those. I did manage to get some of those donated, but that's where the money came in. We spent about £60 really on buying a few more pallet collars. But if we have a look around this area, you can see what it is. It's essentially a seating area. It hopefully will be surrounded by some nice flowers. I have started putting some here in on this border where we've got some, for example, some lavender here. On the back area, we have some tiny little fruit trees. And we have put in here some posts, and we will put wires in here, and we will cordon these fruit trees up on this fence. Now these were kindly donated from one of our plot holders called Pete, who's a real expert in fruit grafting, and he grafted all these heritage fruit trees himself and donated them to the plot. So we've managed to put this together with lots of donations, some from outside sources like local people, but also some from our plot holders. For example, we got this table from asking if anyone had anything that was suitable on a local Facebook group. We have the most amazing compost bin here, and this composting bin is going to be used to store manure. So we will get a manure delivery, we will stack it in here, and we will use that for the remainder the next year. But we've tried to make this look a little more pretty as opposed to just a big structure. So we are going to use the top surface of this for planting. We've put all these containers on here, and we have filled them with some green waste compost, which we were donated very kindly via the council recycling scheme. And we will put salads, I'm thinking, in these so they can be used for cut and come again salads. Now the majority of the produce that will come off this plot is going to be donated to local good causes like charities and food banks, trying to help those that might be at the risk of food poverty. The other thing we're going to use the food for is, particularly, we have an open day that is in the middle of August on the ground, so we will use some of the produce at that very specific time for fundraising purposes. The other benefit of having this little area at the top here is when people want to come and sit down and have a cup of tea and a chat, it's a great area. We will be planning to use this for sort of small educational type sessions where we get people in to do little talks or go over skills that may be useful for our plot holders, and we've got a base now to do this on this plot. One of the things that we have planted, because we've not planted much yet on this plot, we are in the north of England, we are in South Manchester, and it's still pretty cold. If Anthony can see, you can probably see the sky in the background. It is far from being like lovely summer weather yet. We are in that in between spring and that sort of fake winter time really here. But I have planted some carrot seeds in this raised container. And what I have done is put some black fabric just over the top of the carrot seeds. This is because we really want to keep the moisture in. and that will help the seeds germinate. They usually take at this time of year maybe about 20-21 days to germinate. So after that time period, we will take the black plastic off and let them grow. It's got this structure on the top because we will need to cover with EnviroMesh, because we are on an allotment site here and it's pretty much guaranteed that we will get carrot root fly. That's what this structure over here is for, to build that netting over the top. Another thing that we've set up is some self-composting containers here, where we have layered up food waste and some rabbit guinea pig bedding, and then just put a small amount of compost on the top. The magpies have been in and had a good go at digging this up for us. Unfortunately, there's so many magpies on this site. It's only really been like that the last couple of years, but we will be planting into these. There's some potatoes in the middle one, but probably some more salads is probably the most likely thing. Now the rest of the main part of the plot is the small pallet collars raised bed structure. The reason that we chose to do these is they are standardised size. It allowed us to have big paths in between. I know that can be quite controversial on allotment sites when people say you're wasting space. It's not something that I particularly would choose to do for my own plots. But on this, we need things to be accessible. We need to have very wide paths, so it's very easy for a wheelbarrow to go in and out. And over time, we will probably build up the height of these to be able to make the raised beds accessible for people that may have mobility issues. And that's why we've chose to have the standardised size and the wider paths. Because these paths are 2 foot, it also meant that we managed to get quite a lot of donated slabs to go in between the beds, which makes it quite nice and easy for maintenance. As you can probably see, there are little weeds that are popping up in all these gaps. We do need to get hold of some sand and fill all the gaps. That's probably the last thing that we need to do structure-wise on this plot. The only other things we've planted are some onions that are in this small pallet collar bed. The reason we have put the net over these is not for pest reasons, it's just to stop those pesky magpies. Certainly on my own plot, they've been pulling them out at every single opportunity, so that's why they're covered up like this. We also have behind me 4 of these filled with different types of potatoes from early to main crop. So hopefully it shouldn't be a particularly large amount. They have been planted directly in the ground, and we will hill those up, and I think I'm going to use a bit of rabbit bedding as well in that process too. As we get to the front of the plot, there's going to be a lot of flowers. This full border here is going to be dahlias. They are currently planted in these pots. They were actually already on the plot, so when we cleared it, we dug them out and just put them in with soil in these pots, and we will plant them into these first 4 raised beds. There is also a flower border on the front, and I've had to pile some of the leftover chippings right here, so it's not looking brilliant at that point. Wood chips are not the best mulch in terms of flower beds. Obviously, as they start to rot down, there are a lot of talk about that can take carbon out of the ground, and I know some people believe that and some people don't. The reason that we've used these for mulch is because it was just the cheapest free thing we could basically get at the moment to be able to put this together. We don't really have a budget for this project. And a lot of the flowers that we have managed to put in, they are pretty hardy perennial type shrub things, so this should be absolutely okay. And if you see at the back here, most of them are actually growing really well, so it looks like it is working. We put together this pond in here, and it's actually got some little tadpoles in which look brilliant. They look really healthy. There are currently no plants in here, so we do need to get hold of some plants. It was made out of an old recycled bath structure, rubber structure, but we've just tried to put things around it to make it look a little bit nicer. We do have this bird feeder and some nature things that we put around to hopefully make it look pretty and to try and attract the wildlife in. This flower border should grow quite big with the big dahlias behind it, so it will give them a nice place to come along, quite sheltered, to be able to get some feed hopefully on this bit as well. And all the plots that are on our ground have a flower bed at the front. That's part of our rules and regulations. So we did have to put in this, certainly this front section of flower border within our design. We are now right to the back of the plot, and because this is a half plot on the design of our ground, a half plot is split by front and back. So the plot, if Anthony just takes a look to his right, is actually 5B, which is one of our plots. But there is an area here right at the back of the plot. Because it's a half plot, it's split into two. So this greenhouse is actually part of the community plot, and we've been using this to start off various different types of vegetables that we will be transplanting out once that risk of frost has passed. So if you're interested in finding out what's going on this community plot, please follow our channel and give us a like and subscribe. We will be using the channel a little bit to talk about the progress on here, but it's going to be mainly about our plots on Don't Crop Me Now, which are our 2 full plots for our own personal use. But we will be letting you know what is going on at the community plot. So if you've enjoyed the video today, please like, comment and subscribe. It only takes a minute, but it will really help our channel. So take care everyone. Bye.
Bye.